He didn't have much to say after police raided his home here in Watervliet, although he used the words mistake and said he regretted it. Silver was supposed to be representing the people of this state, and instead authorities say he was helping himself out to millions. Now, important to keep in mind, these are just recommendations. The Gaming Commission will now take up the matter. They'll look at things like the environmental impact, zoning, and then make a final decision on the matter. This intersection has had more accidents in recent years than anywhere else in the city, and it's why it's being considered for one of those red light cameras. These are shocking allegations. Silver appeared behind me here at this federal courthouse to answer to this criminal complaint, and this evening he's maintaining his innocence. This was Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver just yesterday at the governor's State of the State. And this was a 70-year-old today, leaving court, now facing federal corruption charges.
I am confident that when all the issues are aired, I will be vindicated.
For more than 2 decades, Silver has been one of the most powerful Democrats in state government. But federal authorities say that for more than half of that, the Speaker accepted bribes and kickbacks totaling $4 million in exchange for his official acts.
The greedy art of secret self-reward was practiced with particular cleverness and cynicism by the Speaker himself.
Silver's outside income first became the focus of the Moreland Commission, a panel that was set up by the governor to root out political corruption. After only 9 months, that was defunded. That's when the U.S. Attorney's Office stepped in. They say they began looking into Silver back in June of 2013. The 5-count criminal complaint unveiled today involves payments that they tell us Silver misrepresented as referral fees from a law firm, funneling state money to a doctor who in exchange referred claims to a law firm where the Speaker worked, and also secretly helping real estate developers win tax breaks.
Speaker Silver never did any actual legal work. He simply sat back and collected millions of dollars by cashing in on his public office and his political influence.
Federal authorities say they have seized $3.8 million of the $4 million that is in the center of this investigation. Now, Silver was released on $200,000 bond. The U.S. Attorney's Office, though, calling this an open, ongoing investigation. So stay tuned. Live in Lower Manhattan, I'm Amy Cutler for News 10 ABC. There was a bus, actually, that left the Capitol carrying several state lawmakers from our area, the mayor from Albany, the county executive, and really, that's just the beginning. As the snow came down and the cold set in, dozens and dozens of state troopers marched to the entrance of St. Ignatius Loyola Church. Former Governor Mario Cuomo's casket then carried in. Hundreds attended, from his family and friends to dignitaries. There was President Bill Clinton and his wife, former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, and many, many more.
He was a role model. He was a mentor. He's someone who helped me when I was a young congressional candidate without much of a chance.
Those who worked with him in the legislature say he was incredibly intelligent, well-read, and what's more, the former governor did his homework.
When you went to discuss a bill with him, and I've said this on numerous occasions, you better be prepared, because he knew the bill inside out.
I was just so impressed by his eloquence. You came out of there thinking you ought to believe everything he said, even though you didn't agree with it.
Cuomo was remembered as a liberal icon. His son said he called himself a progressive pragmatist, that he believed in government and its power to help people. His focus on doing what was right, regardless of what it would mean for him politically.
Well, he really was an example of how a governor should conduct themselves, challenging the legislature, but also respecting the legislature.
Family was first with him, no question. But his family was also the state of New York.
Important to note that all 12 years that he was in office, he spent at the governor's mansion in Albany. He was a fixture in the community. He dined at many local restaurants, even played basketball at Washington Park.
Sure.
Lester, or Bud, as everyone around here calls him, was in good spirits, and he has been with the County Rescue Squad here in Schoharie for 20 years, and he credits that training with helping save his life.
I gotta survive. I'm too young to die.
77-year-old Lester Savreese, or Bud as he's known in Summit, making light of an incident that could have cost him his life. Lost in the woods for 18 hours, soaking wet with no food or water. He could have froze to death. His wife, Jean, at home, worried sick.
It was horrifying. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. It's horrifying knowing that the person you love is somewhere and you don't know where they are and you can't help them. You can't get to them.
The whole ordeal began Thursday afternoon when Lester couldn't find this set of keys. He assumed he dropped them in the woods and took off on his four-wheeler to find them. But going through a creek, he hit a hole. The four-wheeler flipped.
Started getting dark, and I says, I got to get it into cover. And I went down the hill more, and that's where the woods started. It was trying to make a bed, because I knew I couldn't sleep on the ground. Woke up about 5 times during the night.
Meanwhile, Jean had called 911, and dozens of first responders were searching for Bud.
He knew a lot of people, and they wanted to find him. And they knew I needed him.
The break came Friday morning when a state police helicopter spotted Bud in a field. He was conscious, alert, suffering just bumps and bruises. As for the keys, it turned out they were in his house the whole time.
They were right there.
Something nearly all of us have done. At 77 years old, though, Bud says he doesn't plan to go back into the woods, at least not alone anytime soon. Live in Schoharie, I'm Amy Cutler for News 10 ABC. He didn't have much to say after police raided his home here in Water Valley, although he used the words mistake and said he regretted it. We were there around 7 this morning as the Colony Police Department and members of the FBI Crimes Against Children Task Force raided this home at 104 4th Street in Water Valley. About an hour later, their target, 48-year-old Len Keel, was escorted out. Anything to say while you're being brought in?
I regret very much.
What do you regret exactly?
Mistakes.
What Keel calls mistakes, police refer to as his promotion and transmission of child pornography. They say the 48-year-old logged on to a file-sharing program online and that an investigator was able to download several dozen different images of child pornography right off his laptop.
On the 2 dates that he received images from Mr. Keel, there was 45 on one date and 39 on the other, for a total of 84, which leads to the 2 charges for promoting a child in a sexual performance charge. These images depict children under the age of 17 in sexually suggestive positions or in actual sexual conduct.
Authorities say they also executed a search warrant at Keel's home, and that as part of that seized hard drives, thumb drives, and the like. They tell us there are likely several thousand images of child pornography stored on them. The 48-year-old appeared briefly in court where he pleaded not guilty. Then handcuffed, was led back into an SUV and taken to jail. Back on 4th Street, no one answered his door. His neighbors, though, didn't mince words.
That's disgusting. Anybody who would do that to a child should definitely be in jail.
This is a copy of the police report that we obtained. Keel has been charged with 2 counts of promoting the sexual performance of a child. Authorities, though, are going through those hard drives and thumb drives and say more charges could be added depending on what they find, and authorities could even turn over the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Live in Water Valley, I'm Amy Cutler for News 10 ABC.